We hope you enjoyed this recording of the Virtual Access to Education 2020 Pre-Conference Starfish Panel.
Good evening. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Daniel McNulty, and I proudly serve as the State Director of the PATINS Project. As we find ourselves in the midst of a year that has been very trying in many ways, it's important to remember that we also have the opportunity to do things a little differently, to be innovative, and to push the envelope of what education is and could be. This is exciting. It's exciting this November Tuesday evening to be kicking off the first ever virtual PATINS Access to Education Conference in over 20 years of holding this statewide event in person. We can do this, and it's going to be great. It's also exciting to be kicking off this 2020 virtual A2E conference with our first ever pre-conference educator panel consisting of 4 former Starfish Award winners. It's important to hold each other up, to celebrate the small and the big successes together, and to leverage our collective knowledge and skills through opportunities like this one that we have tonight. We began the PATINS Starfish Award back in the fall of 2016. And since that time, we have recognized a total of 10, soon to be 11, Indiana educators with the PATINS Starfish Award. This award is very mindfully presented to a very select group of educators who consistently go above and beyond to meet the needs of all of their students through universal design for learning, accessible educational materials, and assistive technology. We call it the Starfish Award because of the story of the starfish. It's one that soundly resonates with all of us here at PATINS. We're dedicated to making the curriculum accessible, even if that means one student at a time. And we're so grateful to have the opportunity to honor these select Indiana educators with our Starfish Award. It's my pleasure to be a part of bringing you this evening's opportunity to hear from and interact with 4 of Indiana's 10 Starfish Award winners since 2016. Lisa Kloc, Annie Peters, Angie Sheets, and Abbi Richcreek are dedicated, strong, creative, and knowledgeable educators who take on daily access challenges on behalf of their students and respond in innovative ways to ensure all students have the chance to meaningfully participate in their academic instruction. Lisa, Annie, Angie, and Abbi, thank you so much for what you do for students, and thank you so much for being willing to share it with your fellow Indiana educators this evening. With that, I need to introduce you to Jennifer Conti, who is one of the PATINS staff and the one who's primarily responsible for pulling together the many logistics of this event, the first ever virtual PATINS Access to Education Conference. Jen has just a few organizational and housekeeping items to share with you, and then we'll get quickly on to hearing from our Starfish Award-winning panel this evening. Thank you, Jen, and thank you everybody for being here.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much. Just a couple things to make your experience tonight even better is you can turn on captions. At the bottom of your screen, there is a button that says captions. You can also choose live transcript by clicking the caret, and it will have the live transcript options. And that's nice because it comes in a paragraph form on the side. Another thing is we invite everyone to our Twitter chat tonight at 8:30. That is on Twitter. There is no Zoom room link. We host these every Tuesday night, and we have a special one just for this conference. So please join us. If you've never joined before, that's okay. We will be happy to ease you into it. A couple other things are that we will be recording tonight's discussion, and you will get a recording of it following the conference. I also have a Padlet wall that you can connect with other people here tonight. It's just a fun way. If you haven't noticed, our theme is superheroes. So we think you guys are all superheroes, and we want to honor you and connect with you. And right now, I'm going to pass it on to our moderator, PATINS specialist, Amanda Crecilius.
Hi guys, I'm so excited to be here with you tonight, and I'm on here with Lisa Benfield too. She's helping out, and of course you've already met Jen and Daniel because they've introduced themselves. So we're hosting. I just wanted to go over some really simple things, like out of respect for other attendees that are participating, it would be great if you would remain muted if you're not talking. Also, if you need to ask questions, you can use the chat box. You can find the chat box either hovering over your bar that you can mute yourself or turn off your camera. There are 3 little dots in the corner, and you can find the chat in the drop down of that. So if you find your chat there, you can ask questions, or you could ask to unmute yourself and just identify who you are by putting your names for the captions. Actually going to turn those captions on. Sorry, actually, if somebody could turn those captions on, that'd be great. And today we're going to ask our panelists to introduce themselves. So we have a lot of panelists here, and I'd love for you guys to introduce yourselves. So we'll start with Lisa.
Hello, I'm Lisa Kloc. I'm a physical therapist by training, and I sort of grew into assistive technology, and that's who I am. You want Annie to go next?
Yeah, just keep on going down the line.
Hi, everybody. My name is Annie Peters, and I am a special education teacher at Greenwood High School, just south of Indianapolis. And I am in my 12th year of education, but 3rd year here back in Indiana.
Hi, I'm Angie Sheets, and I am currently working at Western Governors University as a program mentor. But prior to moving to Western Governors, I worked in public education at Bluffton in the intense classroom for 20 years and learned so much and just love that classroom and all my peeps there.
Hello, my name is Abbi Richcreek, and I'm an engineering technology teacher at Edgewood Middle School in Warsaw, Indiana. I teach a variety of classes that include engineering, robotics, and I also do extracurricular activities that include engineering and creating ways for mentors to come inside and help our youth. Thank you.
Great. We're so excited about all of you guys being here, and we want to get right into this because we are on a pretty strict time crunch, so we can get to our Twitter chat too. So if you missed out something and you want to talk about in the Twitter chat, that's coming up later on this evening. So we're just going to put out a reminder for your nomination for Starfish, and that will be in the chat too, if you can nominate your next educator. So if you know somebody that is Starfish worthy, please fill out this form so that we can get their nomination in. So fill that form out. And we're going to go on. So I'm going to ask some questions. They'll be up here, and you guys can jump in and take turns answering them. And if you don't share, I might even call on you. So hopefully everybody will share, be that teacher. The first question is, would you describe your experience with the implementation of UDL, or Universal Design for Learning, or AIM, accessible educational material, before the pandemic as being beneficial to students, teachers, and parents to have access to curriculum during the pandemic? Do you have an example? So anyone want to jump in?
I'll go.
Thanks, Annie. You're so brave.
So we had a ton of momentum rolling last school year as we were working on our AIM grant, and across our district, we had set up teams almost in each of our buildings to start training our teachers on different tools that they could use to expand their UDL in the classroom. We also started reaching out to our parents by sharing information in newsletters and talking to them at our IEP meetings about tools and ways for their students to access materials. And then we also developed a program, which I'm presenting on Thursday, in which we started partnering our peers to get our higher need population out into more general education classrooms. So we had a lot of momentum before the pandemic. We're thankful for that because we felt like the students carried some of that into the spring semester, and now they're asking for more, and how do I set this up, and what can I do to access this stuff when I'm at home? So it's still exciting.
I'll piggyback on what Annie said. I agree that doing all the prep work ahead of time was definitely a great asset to what was yet to come. We did a lot of work as far as video modeling and screencastifying so that parents had access to pieces that we were utilizing in the classroom, just trying to keep that carryover going and making sure that there was that transition piece in place for all of our students. So they had these pieces already put into place and parents were already familiar with the tools that we were using. So it was very beneficial.
Anyone else want to share before I go on to the next one? Going once, going twice. Next question. Question 2, describe a challenging accommodation situation in this virtual setting and what strategies or tools were used to successfully meet the students' needs. Take it away, Abby.
So I utilize, obviously Google Classroom is pretty helpful, but along with that, I try to relate to the students by doing TikTok videos, of course, appropriate and education, you know, using my standards as my way of doing that, but making it creative. And I also did some short videos. Unfortunately, my son, who's 5, I made him do some like exercises to show about blood pressure raising and how you can take pulse. So I tried to do a lot of videos, a lot of TikToks, short, and gave prime examples of what the students should be doing in their curriculum. I even mailed out items. I know the students don't have access to some things, so I just mailed out items to all the students I had. And then those students that didn't receive it, I just dropped by their house and put it on their porch. So that's how I made sure that all the students had the same, the same accommodations, and made sure they all got that and they were happy. And then we went along with our curriculum.
I'll jump in here and just, some of these questions seem to overlap, but a challenging thing for me has always been I deal with most of the parents who have questions. I deal with them. Was already dealing virtually, either on the phone or emailing back and forth, trying to answer questions. We'd get something working at school and they couldn't get it working at home. And so actually the use of Zoom and Google Classroom and Google Meets, all these new things have been a great help. And the fact that, going back to question 1, the fact that I was already familiar with the tools and was already trying and teaching those tools, it definitely made it easier for me. And I think the good news is a lot of teachers who may have been hesitant before started calling me and asking me questions. I get questions every day now from staff saying, how do I do this? And before I sort of had to push my way in, where now they're coming to me. And that's nice.
So with the students in our district that elected to go fully virtual at the beginning of this school year, we actually met with the parent via phone to review the accommodations that were in their IEP to make sure that we could still satisfy those in a virtual setting. So we started getting creative with if they had the accommodation to have things read aloud, we made sure that they were comfortable in using Snap and Read. Some teachers began recording their voice and implementing that into their Canvas quizzes. With extended time, we started assigning quizzes to students in groups based on if they had extended time or not. We then used the breakout groups on Zoom to place them in separate rooms on quiz days so that we could handle those accommodations that way.
Wow, those are all really great examples. I love listening to those. I hope that you guys did too. I see the chat box just really getting excited too. Going to the next question, question 3. Have you had any low-tech ideas for use at students' homes that have been particularly successful? And how are you addressing inclusivity and awareness of cultural and ability and racial differences? So you can tackle either one of those or both of those, and whoever wants to jump in there, let's hear. Go ahead, Abby.
Question 3, we talked about gears. So I gave the students a choice whether they could construct some gears out of cereal boxes, or they could go online to a platform I found, a website. And actually, most of them chose to do the cereal boxes with the gears. And then they had to show me evidence that they did this by a short video, and they submitted that. But I like the choice because not all students have access to materials. But I felt like cereal boxes was pretty, something that you have usually. But that seemed pretty popular as using that.
I will say a low-tech idea is I love color overlays, and there is an assessment process to get the right color. You can't just give everybody red, but color overlays are low-tech, and usually a half sheet will do, and you can send them home with the kids. They're not that expensive, and if for example, yellow is my favorite color. I mean, when I put that yellow on there, the lines quit jumping, and I love it. So if I'm doing some kind of a intensive writing my own self, I put my yellow overlay on what I'm copying from, and it helps a lot. And just telling people that, hey, you can adjust your screen color. You can adjust that background on your screen is amazing. That's not so low tech, but still it's low tech in the scheme of things. On the fourth question there, I'll just go ahead and say, for us, for my part of it, I treat the kids as they're referred. But for example, you can, in even the devices, frequently you can change the skin tone of the pick sims, the symbols, things like that. If you're printing things, just being aware that you can't just cut and paste everything. Some things need to be adapted. And skin tone is something that's small to me that, but it makes a big difference. The kids get really excited when they see the pictures. And it's not like their neighbors. It's not identical to their neighbors.
Sorry, go ahead, Angie. Go ahead.
I was just thinking, as far as low tech goes, making sure that our parents have access to manual boards if their students are used to using more high tech, just to make sure that they have that backup system in place that can travel with them wherever they go. I just saw a really cool idea last night where a parent had created a small manual board and put it in the case of their phone, the see-through case on their phone, so they'd have it with them all the time. I thought that was a brilliant low-tech idea. I also think that having students home all the time, parents really started to embrace the idea of having a schedule, and making sure that there were picture schedules or check-off lists to keep students on task and just keep things rolling as smoothly as possible through these crazy times.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Angie, was the schedule. I'm a person that has 500 Post-its on my desk, and I have students that love that too. They like to get their to-do list, whether it's for the whole day or just that class period, and be able to cross off items as they accomplish them.
Did anyone else want to address how are you addressing inclusivity and awareness of cultural and ability and racial differences? I loved your contribution, Lisa. That was great.
On Newslet too, they have just a lot of updated news articles that are very specific to what's happening around us that are really appropriate for classroom usage.
All right, I'm going to jump on to the next question. Question 5, have you been addressing sensory processing needs within virtual settings using technologies, and let us know how?
I think Alexa or Google Home is a great way to do this, especially using your AAC. Students are able to, access their lights and their music and turn on equipment around them to help manage their own sensory needs.
One of the things that I always do when I'm showing kids how to do the reading, I'll show them how to adjust the speed of the voice or the tone of the voice, pick a voice and something that's more pleasant to them. And I think that is a sensory issue, how fast you listen. Another thing is just on my own PT page that I send to people, I include some video snippets of, deep breathing. We'll change the lighting in the room sometimes and try to give choices as to songs or things. If they're going to be forced to do this stuff at home, they need some choices in there. And so that's one of the ways I've been dealing with it.
These are all amazing, amazing advice that you guys can take. I'm getting so much out of this for myself, so I hope that the rest of you on this call are too. Let's go on to question 6. How are you adapting evaluations and assessments? I think this is a big one, virtually, and what's been your greatest challenge with this? So talking about evaluations and assessments.
Can you guys hear me okay? I just got notified my microphone isn't working. Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome.
And you're up then.
Sweet, okay. One thing that we've moved to, and this has been difficult for some of our teachers, is that because we're on a hybrid schedule, we have some students at home and some students in person. We have elected to allow students to use their notes on tests. And that has been a difficult pill for some of our teachers to swallow. I love it because I love that as an accommodation for anyone. It has been a challenge getting everyone on board with that. I would say another challenge we've run into is making up missed quizzes or tests because we have such limited time in person now. If a student misses something, it's difficult to find that common time to get made up.
I really didn't give a lot of assessments, just maybe some brief quizzes, because I feel like it's just kind of like it's kind of like hands-on learning, minds-on learning, and that's what I kind of do in the classroom. But obviously, virtually last spring, right now we're still in person. But last spring, I tried to do as much as I could, like giving them choice to do hands-on or maybe a electronic platform. But I didn't really give a whole bunch because I felt like they were kind of probably stressed out already. As long as they were doing the work and chugging along, that's really what mattered to me.
I'll just say, as far as AT assessments and evaluations, I think it's led to much more in-depth conversations. What is it you want out of this? What is it you want it to do? And if the kids are already at home, it might involve me mailing them a piece of equipment and then really talking to the parents and doing that. Where before the teacher was the person who implemented it and gave me feedback, now it's the parents who are implementing things and giving me feedback and deciding whether this is a useful tool or not. And so that's how we've been doing it. It's just dealing directly with the parents and going from there.
I agree with what Lisa said. At this point, it's survival, guys. At my house, I know it's survival. So I would assume it's the same with my students. And it's just really supporting those parents at this point, taking their word on what they're seeing and what they're observing and trying to guide those parents as they're trying to support us in this process as well.
Wow, those were really great pieces of information. I think that all of us are feeling that and appreciate you guys saying that too. Let's go on to the next one. The next one is question 7, and this is our last one for tonight. So as students move from remote to in-person back to remote, what are some tips on addressing their social emotional needs such that they are able to be ready for challenging academic tasks?
So we right now are dealing with students that have elected to be fully virtual, students that are on a hybrid schedule, or students that are temporary virtual due to quarantine. And we have found that the students that are forced to be home, that are traditionally in person, miss being there so much. So when they get on camera, they're interactive and they're talking and turn the camera around. I want to say hi to Anthony. And that relationship that we built prior to them going online was really important. It's also allowing them time to just chat. I mean, if they were in person, they'd be having that time in the hallways, passing periods, lunch. So giving them 2, 3, 5 minutes at the beginning or end of class to chat with each other, to share what's going on, has been really, really beneficial.
Annie, I love what you said about respecting that social engagement piece there. And I think that's something that can be consistent virtual and in person, that carry over things like Flipgrid or just having those conversations online like you had mentioned. I also think maintaining as consistent a schedule as possible. We all are creatures of predictability. We want to know what's happening next. So as much maintenance of routine as we can establish is going to be really important for that carryover.
One of the things that I've done, I've made a Padlet page, and we do lots of groups in the classrooms. I work, the majority of the kids I work with are in preschool and typically some life skills class. That's the physical therapist in me. And so I have my Padlet page, and I've basically I've lined it up in columns and it follows just like if they were in class. The whole thing is virtual, but it's just like it's in class. And I update it with little videos of myself. And but I had a parent, and I always, when I send it to the parents about every other week, I'll send the link to the parents. Link doesn't change. Just want you to know it's been updated. And I'll always ask a question, because otherwise I don't get any feedback. And I'll say, for example, this last one, I said, in one of my little films, I said, kids, you may not recognize me. This is Miss Lisa. I've got new glasses. And the comment I got back is they love my glasses. But I got something back, and that was great. So that's how and I think trying to keep that personal contact and just keep it consistent. Today we talked about just sending the link out routinely. So, like I said, I've told the parents the link doesn't change. It's always there. You can get on anytime you want to, whether you're virtual or not. And so again, just building that consistency, I think, is important.
A few times I've taken my laptop through the hallway during passing period just to make sure my remote learners don't forget what it's like to walk through the halls with all the other students and hearing all the noises and bumping into everyone. Don't want them to miss out on that.
That's great. I think we have time for one more. I actually want to get to one more if we have time. So I'm going to go ahead into this. This is the last one for real. Last question. Considering family, life, work balance, virtual and in-person classes, and so many new things on your plate, do you have 1 or 2 self-care tips that you use and would recommend to other educators? This is my favorite question, so I want to make sure I got to it.
I have started taking Bible study courses. Lifeway.com has free, about every quarter, they'll have a free, they rotate them through, and you can sign up for Bible study courses. And it's really interesting as an adult learner. It gives me a sample of what some of the frustrations of being an online student is. And, just the difficulty in building relationships in that setting. But it also that's what I do to take care of myself and keep myself spiritually going.
I try not to look at my emails like after 5, because nothing is worse than seeing like an email from a parent. Not that it happens a lot, but like the one time a year it does, or whenever that would happen. And then the next day thinking about it all night about how you're going to respond. So I've just not look at emails after 5, and that has helped me a lot. And I try to just set down my phone and not even look at it. Obviously for emergencies I would, but other than that, just taking time out and no electronics, not looking at email. I don't have my email hooked to my phone. So I think that's important.
My principal had once told us that we needed to plan one night a week where we were not going to take our teacher bag home. One night a week, your teacher bag needs to stay at school. And then I also just started this, I'm showing this to hold myself accountable, but I started making a list of my thoughts that were negative and trying to turn them into a growth opportunity. So I actually started listing them, trying to make myself be more optimistic in my point of view. I'm sure by the end of the week, the stack will be this big, but it's a purposeful tactic that I'm trying.
Yoga and wine.
And it just gets right to it. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but this is a fantastic pre-conference, and I hate to say goodbye, but the clock says we must go. So I hope that you guys, I just wanted to say a special thank you to all the Starfish Educator panelists that are here, and thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your experiences and your authenticity, and we really just appreciate that from you. We hope that you guys join us at 8:30 Eastern time on Twitter with the hashtag PATINSICAM. And it's going to be about chat access to education 2020, Starfish panel recap, and conference kickoff. So if you wanted to gain all 8 of your professional growth points or PGPs, please join us. The conference evaluation will be available starting tomorrow. Once you've completed that at the end of the Access to Education, complete it once at the end of your Access to Education conference experience, and that is the end of this session. So you can leave this meeting, although I will be crying here waiting for you on Twitter chat. So I hope to see you all there, and are super excited about this virtual A to E conference. So have a wonderful night.
To learn more about the Patents Project, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and patinsproject.org. That's PATINS project.org. Thanks for watching.